Game studio owner suddenly lays everyone off and blames a Kotaku report that hasn't been published. Well, there's a little bit more to this story, but as expected, we're going to get into it. Possibility Space's founder claims that leaks to the press, which haven't been made public yet, led to a conversation that closed the studio. It sounds ridiculous until you actually know what was happening, which we'll talk about. It's despairingly common to hear about game studios closing lately. I wonder why. Maybe it's because they're making garbage nobody wants. Yeah, but I don't think I've ever heard of a studio owner blame their company's closure on leaked information that has yet to be made public. You'll understand when you actually hear the full story. Well, you have the full story since you're writing this article, but whatever. So that's what happened today when every employee at Possibility Space, a relatively young studio whose first game has yet to be revealed, was laid off. So employees received the news of Possibility Space's closure in a nice surprise morning email today, according to a former senior environment artist at the studio. That email was acquired by Polygon reporter Nicole Carpenter, and acquired, you mean it was leaked to? In the memo, Possibility Space owner Jeff Strain, who previously co-founded ArenaNet, dang, he actually got some creds, and Undead Labs tells the studio staff that he was recently contacted by Kotaku reporter Ethan Gach, and with questions about the closure of Crop Circle Games, another studio he owned with his wife, Annie DeLezy Strain, under the company Britannia Media. So Gach's questions included non-public information about Possibility Space's first game. Yeah, and there you go. See, this is what's leading to the closure. Like, it's not that Kotaku published something, because it was they said there, like, the article has yet to be published. But while the journalist was contacting the guy, he was pretty much letting slip that he had access to all sorts of non-public information. So there's already an information leak at your company. You know that might affect your decisions going forward. All right, so either way, I just resent the email, as well as confidential Britannia Media business information, including the identity of its publishing partner. And that was the end right there. The publishing partner apparently didn't like that very much. All right, Jeff was shocked, he said, to learn that the information had come from current employees. He claimed that after discussing the leak with to the publishing partner, the company expressed low confidence that they would be willing to invest in additional resources needed to complete the game. So Jeff and the unnamed publishing partner then mutually agreed to cancel the project. Yeah, I bet that Jeff here probably didn't fight all that hard once he saw how loyal his employees are. Yeah, he's probably like, you know what? Let's if you want to cancel this, don't let me stop you. Wink, wink. So that goes on to announce that Possibility Space is closing immediately, and concludes with the note that Jeff is stepping away from the game industry to focus on his family and care for his wife, who recently disclosed a serious medical diagnosis. Annie DeLezy Strain disclosed that diagnosis last week in an open letter archived here about the closure of Crop Circle Games. The letter also describes Gach's forthcoming Kotaku article. Annie expressed concern that Gach's reporting might reveal details about her medical record, and said that that Crop Circle's closure was due to this part's important, due to a permanent and sustained alteration and contraction of the games industry. Yeah, there's no more market for ESG bullshit. And lack of investor interest in Crop Circle's game, which she called fundamentally out of touch with emerging player tastes. Now, that could mean one of two things. Either they were trying to go the modern audiences route and realize that emerging player tastes now are pretty much identical to what they were years ago, and they're just resisting the change the industry is trying to force on them. Either that's what happened, or they were trying to actually make a based game, and they were being told by investors, like, oh yeah, there's not enough ESG or DEI in this. Modern audiences want that kind of stuff. So Crop Circle's former studio director, Jess Brunel, contradicted the justification in a post on LinkedIn following the closure. This is a very reductive statement. I believe it shifts the blame to everyone and everything other than the people at the top. Saying our game was not commercially viable makes the team sound like we didn't know what we were doing, which I can assure you is not the case. There's no evidence to back up this claim, and we will never know it was a commercially viable product. Now, this to me sounds like that meme of the guy squatting over someone's plate, and the guy whose plate it was asking, why are you shitting on my plate? No, how do you know it's shit? It's not even out yet. Like, that's what this sounds like to me. Now, I guess the real question would be, how many of the team members that were working on this game would be willing to bet their own fortunes, their own futures on it? How many of them are so confident in their game they'd be willing to stake everything on it? Because whether they're right or not, the fact is they were relying on someone else to take all the risk. Their boss, investors, like whoever. And from the sound of it, they couldn't get investors interested, so they shut it down. Well, if you guys are so confident in your game, why don't you continue making it in your spare time or a spiritual successor? It's going to be the next big thing, right? Well, why can't you do this unless someone else is taking all the risks? If you feel so strongly about your work and about how viable this idea is, why don't you bet your own future on it instead of gambling with someone else's money? I think if we did a lot more of that as a whole in society, things would objectively improve. Stop gambling with other people's money and gamble with your own for once, and see how many risks you're willing to take. So in a brief response to the letter, Gok said he did not plan to disclose Annie's medical diagnosis. I mean, I'm sure you're going to say that now, as he's probably editing the article. I don't know how she came to the conclusion, and I'm sorry she did, he wrote. Maybe because you guys have a history of doing things like that. So Gok has yet to publish his report on the shuttering of Crop Circle, but ex-employees have publicly expressed discontent over how the studio's closure went down. According to a LinkedIn post from a former employee, they were let go without severance. Another characterized the studio's end as messy and disrespectful. All right, so this whole severance thing, like there has to be a company left behind to pay that. If the company is shutting down, yeah, generally, unless they had a lot of cash that they were just sitting on, the first people to get paid are the investors when a company shuts down. So yeah, it makes sense you wouldn't get any severance. Now, if this was just a regular layoff, sure, but if the whole company is shutting down, who's going to pay your severance? So in the wake of the studio closures, the Strains have been accused of hypocrisy from previous statements expressing solidarity with workers and criticizing poor employee treatment from big developers. So Austin Walker, formerly IP director at Possibility Space, reshared a screenshot on social media post from Annie Strain, in which she blamed games industry layoffs on bad management and bad decision making, which is true, by the way. And Strain notably called for game workers to unionize in an open, in a current year -3 open letter. Well, you got the employees you deserve, I guess. Yeah, this is just funny. Like they were leaking information to a hostile media when the company shuts down, probably not because of this, but they're using it as an excuse anyway. Now they're mad at that too. There's just no pleasing some people, you know? So it's not especially uncommon for workers to speak to reporters anonymously about their workspaces. But this should not be the norm, though. And I can't recall ever hearing of an investor immediately backing down from a multi-year project because of unpublished leaks about a studio's game and finances. Yeah, I do believe there's more to that story. If I were to guess, the owners of this company really didn't want to continue it anyway. They were looking for a way out. They were looking for a reason, and their dumbass employees just gave them one. Like, phew, I was looking for an out. Thank you. So the letter from Jeff Strain today doesn't state explicitly that the leaks are the reason he and the publisher chose to cancel the game, but it offers no other reasons. Yeah, I think he said the leaks led to a discussion that ultimately led to the decision to close the studio. Yeah, the leaks were just the catalyst. That's all. So we don't know how far along the game was, but the studio was a few years old. Possibility Space was founded in current year -3 with a team of industry notables, including former Camposanto and Valve artist Jane Ng, former Ubi Shit and Insomniac designer Liz England, and Richard Fogey, whose credits include the original God of War, Guild Wars 2, and State of Decay. So besides the now closed Possibility Space and Crop Circle Games, Jeff and Annie's Britannia Media owns two other developers, Fang and Claw, a people-first studio making player-centric AAA game. That is just buzzwords for investors right there. In case anyone wonders what that even means, that means if you're rich, give us money. That's what that means. And Dawan, a mobile-first video game studio based in Bengaluru, India. It's presently unclear what Jeff Strain's statement that he's stepping away from the industry means for those two studios. I don't know. Maybe he's going to put that parent company under someone else's management and control. We've seen that happen plenty of times before when someone retires. They just, I mean, look at what George Lucas did with Soy Wars. He personally handpicked Cray Cray KK as his successor. Look at how well that worked. Star Wars is better than ever. So the Britannia Media website has been taken down, as have the official Possibility Space and Crop Circle Games websites. We've asked Britannia Media for comment. I've also contacted Kotaku publisher Geo Media. I don't think Geo Media wants anything to do with Kotaku anymore. At this point, I think they're just stalling until they can be sold. But this is getting interesting, man. It's not even just big AAA studios. It's a lot of their orbiters that are also going down. And this again, I think this is a good thing for the whole industry. There's a lot of bloat in this industry that could use cutting, and once that happens, maybe we could get back to decent games again. Not going to hold my breath, but you know what? I can hope, right?